to get started, I just want to let you guys know I am always very excited when Craig comes in the studio because this guy is like OG when it comes to VFX in the industry. He has been doing visual effects either, you started in practical effects.
Yeah.
40 years almost, guys. We were at 37 years and counting.
Oh
so he has, I'm just going to say you because it's rude to be like, this guy that's not right
this
here.
Guy.
Yeah, this guy. So you have worked for Disney for like 15 years, DreamWorks for 5 years. You helped start James Cameron's VFX company, Digital Domain.
That is correct.
He has worked on Jurassic Park. You guys know I'm obsessed with Jurassic Park. And Terminator, Tremors?
Tremors.
Yeah. Total Recall reboot. You worked video games as well.
Yeah, actually doing trailers for video games and
That's so
previs,
cool.
yeah.
So you do a lot of previs. So have you?
I used to do a lot of previs, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I did previs on Call of Duty Ghosts, and including the live action commercial that had Megan Fox in it.
Oh wow, okay.
And that was one of my gigs that I helped out on, and other movies like Ghostbusters. I helped do this, the old
original one. That's right. Yeah, I knew that.
Ghost,
I knew that. I did know this from the last time.
And one a lot of people like to talk about is like Edward Scissorhands. I made his thumbs.
I just watched this when I was coming back from Norway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
So I was watching and I saw your name on the credits and I was like,
showing
okay.
it. Yeah.
Oh well, it's in like the classics because it's such a classic flick now. It is. I know that's got to be weird. You're like, but I'm not what.
Okay.
Anyway, so. Tonight you are here, you are going to hang out with us and teach us all about how to create in Maya and in Unity to create augmented reality, aspects of augmented reality for games.
That's correct.
This is very exciting. So let's get started.
All right. So we're using Unity. I'm using an older version of Unity. One of the things that's in the Unity Asset Store is by a company called XZIMG or like XZIMG or whatever, and it's a free asset at the Unity Asset Store that you can download for free, and then plug it in, and it comes with this like really basic cube tutorial, and so I thought we'd start out with that, and then we talk about what would make that. What makes it work, the stuff under the hood, because there's a couple of little simple gotchas that if you don't know about, it won't work at all, and so that's what we'll discuss, and then we'll move on.
How big would you say was the learning curve from designing for 2D into 3D into now we're in augmented reality?
Not that much at all. It was
really?
Mostly just understanding the key things that go into augmented reality. And this is such a simple application to use that it's there's, like I said, there's only like one or two things that you really need to watch out for, and as long as you pay attention to that, and it's really simple stuff, as you're going to find out, because it's simple enough for me to do it, so obviously anybody can do it.
Right, simple enough for the guy that's been doing it for 40 years to do it. So clearly, Joe Schmo off the street.
I can do it. Anybody can. So, all right. So, I don't know if they have access to our camera here. We're good.
We are good.
What we have here is a very simple cube, and I can look around it, and it's got a light in it. And so this is the sample scene that it comes with the XZIMG, and really the biggest trick about this is that everything kind of comes put together. If you want to substitute something else for the cube, the only thing you really need to know about this is that in its little hierarchy, this cube is named scene object, okay? Capital S, scene, capital O for object. And as long as you name whatever that asset or whatever the geometry that you're putting in there, as long as it has that name scene object, it should work.
Oh, cool.
And that's the biggest trick. But that took me several hours of head banging to figure that out. One day. So I'm going to go ahead and run this.
Okay.
And I'll go build and run.
While we're doing that, so the XZ, is it XZIMG?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to, if we can get that up in the chat, that you're saying again that is the tool?
That's the name of the company that makes the plugin, yeah.
The plugin, okay. Yeah. So it's the plugin that you need for the older version of Unity to be able to actually go in and play with augmented reality, and which is what we're doing tonight.
Right,
so.
and it's what you said exactly, is because this is, I'm actually using an older version of Unity. I'm using 4.6, and now Unity is already up to 5.5. And the version in the asset store doesn't work with 5.5. Although you can go to XZIMG's website and download the latest one by registering for it. But it's got a lot more bells and whistles and is actually a lot more complex to use. So I thought we'd stick with something simple.
Yeah.
That's like a no-brainer in this, and does people
get
get
people's
going.
feet
Yeah.
wet.
Yeah, and you can also still download Unity 4.6, so
Yeah.
and it's free to download
Cool.
as well.
Awesome.
So all right, so it's built. I'm going to hit play, and we'll just take a real quick look. We have a little bit target down here. We'll hit yes, trust this application. Thank you, Kaspersky. And if we look really close, there's our little cube. So
Oh wow.
if I can get my camera to focus on it, as long as we turn around it. And it's doing something really crazy that you don't want to do. This is what it's called tumbling, which is what some augmented reality things have a problem with, and I'll have to relaunch it. But what happens is, if you get the camera like straight on to the target like this, sometimes it will start doing this crazy little dance called tumbling. And really the only way you can to solve that is to relaunch the program. And okay, there you go. So here it is. I'll try not to go hit it straight on, but
Oh, cool.
there it is. We can move around. I got this little handy cam in front of me.
And we're just using a standard, what's like a Logitech webcam.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's
So yeah, this is one that I got like probably 10 years ago. So it's a very old one. And so that's it. So, and you can like turn the target around. And if you see underneath, that's the marker, and there's a plug for near. And then once again, I tumbled
it.
Broke it again. And so you can see the marker there. The marker is, it's called a 5x5 marker. And when you download this asset from the company, it comes with 5,000 different variations of this marker for you to use. So let me finish it there.
So the thing that's causing the tumbling, it's not anything that's inherently, like, if that happens, there's nothing wrong with your program.
Nothing at all. Yeah.
It's just you need to relaunch it because you hit the target at the wrong angle.
At the wrong angle, yeah. There's two things involved: hitting it at the wrong angle, and also we have the target here is a little bit in the shadows. So it's causing the camera, because since this isn't like a brand new camera, it has a little bit of a focusing issue, and so every once in a while, when it focuses through the shadows, it's gonna hit that tumbling problem as well.
Okay.
It's not normally a problem. I've seen it a lot more tonight than I've ever seen it in like the last year or so. So welcome to the show, right?
Very shady show we have here.
But thump. Okay, so let's take a look at something a little more involved. This is what I made for a friend's business card recently. He actually has a little augmented reality target on his business card.
Yeah.
And so he goes around with this app on his phone, and then we can like look at this little
so
like
cool.
Blackhawk helicopter doing its little thing here. And eventually it will take off and head towards the camera and stuff.
Oh, whoa!
So we can like get really close and see the pilots inside and everything.
You totally can see the pilots. That's amazing.
We'll fly away again and land and start all over again. And now this was animated inside Maya and then exported and brought into Unity to do this. And that's actually pretty simple to do. Also, I just wanted you guys to know that the actual rotor RPM on this is actually completely accurate to the real thing. I called my little brother, who actually repairs Blackhawk helicopters for the Army, and asked him, what's the rotor speed of a Blackhawk helicopter? And he told me 240 feet per second. So that's what I put in.
Oh, wow.
There you go, right? More trivia.
That is just fascinating. How long did something like that take to build and animate?
I downloaded this helicopter from the internet, so it took literally 5 minutes to build.
Okay, then.
Kudos to the guy who built it. And then to animate it inside Maya probably took maybe at the most 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And just goofing around. And most of that was just getting the timing and stuff. So it didn't look like a goofy animation. It looked somewhat more naturalistic. So
yeah, very cool.
All right, so there's that.
So when we're talking about AR, which is augmented reality, if you guys are just tuning in, there's AR and then there's VR, which is virtual reality. So explain the core difference between AR and VR.
Virtual reality is apparently where you actually have an immersive experience. So like you go into virtual reality, wherever you look around, you're actually it transports you to a different place. So you're like in the jungles of Africa, on the moon of Pandora, or wherever. And it's hopefully it's the virtual reality experience is transporting you into that experience where you're completely immersed. Whereas augmented reality is just taking something that doesn't exist and bringing it into our world, so it's physically with us. But even though it's not, we get the perception that we actually are seeing a little helicopter flying around in a room, which we couldn't do in real life, or a fake cube, which we probably could do in real life. But
just get
anyway,
a cube.
So that's the big difference. Augmented is just adding. It's just changing our reality and bending a little bit, but it's not really taking us out of where we are. And virtual reality is where it's actually hopefully a fully immersion experience.
So with these kind of onsets, very popular. You see a lot of like Snapchat filters or Pokemon Go. Are those? I know Pokemon Go is considered AR. Now, how about the Snapchat filter?
That's where you see like the little things on top of your head.
Yeah, like you turn into a dog.
Definitely an AR type
that's
experience
so cool.
as well, because it's not really taking you into a different environment. It's just adding stuff to your face, right?
Yeah.
So
interesting. Okay, what do we? Oh, the chat is super tiny. If you guys can fix that. Why does Snapchat not require a mark, like something like that?
Oh, Snapchat is using a facial recognition system, so it's actually looking and it's looking for seeing things that are common to everybody. And of course, most of that is like it's looking to see if you have two eyes and a nose, and it's kind of drawing a line between the eyes and making it. It's basically taking your eyes and your nose and turning it into kind of a T marker. And so that's kind of how that works. If you want to explore that further, the company that we're using today, the XZIMG, they have a system like that as well on their website that you can download that actually looks at facial features and then projects using that as well.
Yeah, because I've seen there's a lot of stuff coming up that was just at the DevCon, but then there was the other one that just happened in Anaheim, and I'm blanking on the name. Anyway, or the one in San Diego, rather. They were debuting, I want to say it was Sony. It was one of the big kind of higher end tech companies that have tons of money to blow on stuff, where they were doing real-time facial augmentation, like VR augmentation of the face, where like you could go and stand there and it would map your face, and then it could put a completely different face on your face. And then all of your facial expressions, your speech patterns, everything was mapped by it in real time without any kind of needing. It's like the Shogun system that just came out for motion capture. It was just real time animation that didn't need cleanup. Like it all happened within the engine. It was nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty cool there because it's if you look at it, it actually builds a little digital face of your face in almost real time. It just sits there and like, boom, now your face is built. So there's like a little gray overlay of your face with little polygons and stuff. And one of the cool applications I saw with that recently is, and it's available now, is an eyeglasses thing where it doesn't use any markers. It looks at your eyes and maps your face, and then it gives you like around like 50,000 different brands of eyeglasses that you can like try on and see what you look like with those eyeglasses, which is not quite a game or something, but it's actually quite, kind of pretty useful for consumers. So you can go look like, what do I look like in those glasses? No. And that way you can like choose your glasses without even having to leave the house.
Yeah,
and that sort
digital
of stuff.
shopping.
So
that's what a lot of that application is for. Is Google Glass considered augmented reality?
No, I think it's more, I think you can use it for augmented reality, but I think it was actually designed for virtual reality.
Well, I think not even just that, but it wasn't also just like it was like another assistive device. Yeah. Like you could have your day planner in it and you could make phone calls from it. Like it was kind of a weirdly glorified smartphone crossed with VR. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. It was like a heads up display.
That's a good description of it. Yeah. One of the things that I've used like this system for is for like creating little descriptions of like if like there was like a medical device used by heart surgeons and stuff, and when you put it has a little marker on it. When you put the camera on it, it shows you like, okay, this knob controls the blood flow, and this knob controls this rate and all that stuff. So it's just kind of like an augmented reality instruction booklet that actually just floats above the object itself. So
yeah, I've read that some of the other applications for AR is going to be in the medical field, as far as no longer needing like human cadavers. For med students, they can and because it's augmented reality can become so immersive in its own right. You know, it doesn't transport you. You're still in your medical lab, but it's augmented reality when it has a menu system. So that's what he's asking. Is it considered augmented reality when you just have like a menu system displayed in front of you?
That's part of it, but it can be more too. I mean, there are systems that like there's like a company called Vuforia, which actually can track your whole head, and so you can actually like put on like you can like put like an entire helmet or something on you, and if you turn completely around 360, it's still going to show up in the back of your head and make it look like an actual helmet. So
that's awesome.
Or stuff like a
cool
cosplay type to take into the augmented reality level.
Yeah. So did you get into AR just as the natural progression because that's where things are headed, or has it been something that's always just been fascinating for you?
I got into it because of the accessibility to it. I mean, I thought it was really cool and it was very futuristic, but then I realized that a lot of these gaming systems, like the Unity game engines, it's just there for the taking. And like, wow, okay, cool, let's go play with this.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I got into it because
awesome.
It was there.
Yeah.
So
what are you doing with us today? You're going to actually teach us how to work an augmented plugin.
Yeah.
When it comes to Unity and Maya.
Yeah, I'm going to show you some of the tips and tricks for bringing it into Unity because these are the questions that I see like most of the time when people ask, like when they're trying to do it themselves, they go, "Hey, Craig, this didn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
Why is this broken?" And so I'm going to try to answer some of those most frequently asked questions today.
So. Very cool. Let's get started.
All right. So I'm going to go switch over to a program called Autodesk Maya. And inside this program,
it's a Velociraptor.
I have a Velociraptor, right? And if you're wondering what these little circles are on there, these are actually controls to animate the Velociraptor. So if I grab this guy and I move it up down, I can like move his head around.
Oh.
And like
it's a head banging Velociraptor. What's up, dog?
And so that's what all these controls are actually for. Is just actually to animate the Velociraptor. Now this one I've already animated, so if I scrub along the timeline here, he actually moves around.
Cute.
And so this is the animation I want to put in here. Now, you would normally, in the latest version of Unity, all you have to do is export this scene and then import it straight into Unity. But with the older versions of Unity, you actually have to do what they call baking out the animation. And to do that, you need to select all the skeletons inside. So if you look inside this guy, if we go like this, you actually see that he has inside. Let me give my little key here, if I can select something really fast. You'll see that inside him actually is like a little system of joints. And so these are what his skin is attached to, all these little like skeleton joints, and these are actually what are everything that's animated. But we need to bake these out, which basically says we're going to put a keyframe on every single one of these joints for every single frame. And so now that I have them all selected, all I have to do is go up here into Maya and go Edit, Keys, and Bake Simulation. And it's going to run through the entire simulation a little bit. And what it's doing, it's going to bake out keys on every frame now.
Oh, okay.
So now every frame has a key. I mean, every joint has a key on every frame. Which is what the older versions of Unity are looking for. And so this is one of the first big gotcha when you're trying to bring something into Unity, is that if the animation isn't baked onto it, it's not going to actually come into Unity. You're just going to end up with this statue in Unity that doesn't do anything.
Interesting.
So there's our first one. There's our first tip, excuse me. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to export this whole thing. out of Maya. And so to do that, I'm just going to go File, and I'm going to go Export All. And here's the second one, is choosing the right format to export inside Maya. And what it is the export format, they're going to tell you in Unity that you can export things as a Collada format file and also an FBX format file.
Okay.
It turns out FBX is used to work really well, but now for some reason it's not working as well as it used to. So what we're going to use is like this hybrid that comes with Maya, and it's actually a combination of Collada and FBX, and it's called a DAE_FBX, all right? And that's the file format. There's a lot of different file formats, as you can see, we can use.
Oh, yeah.
But the one we're really interested in is this one called Collada. But the abbreviation for it is DAE_FBX. So I'll just type in a name for the Raptor here, and Raptor 26 maybe. And then I'll hit export, and then it's going to sit there and export them out.
So, because I am not game design at all. This is always new to me. Why even go in between Maya and Unity?
Because Unity is more of a place for creating games. It's not really a place for animating your characters. So you really need another piece of software to animate that character before taking it into Unity.
Okay.
And so some of the popular animation softwares is like Maya, like the one we're using, and also one called 3ds Max, which both of them are made by Autodesk. So it's kind of like, which is your poison. Most people nowadays are using Autodesk Maya because that's what the major animation studios and game studios are using.
I noticed that on the breakdowns for it.
Yeah, they're mostly using Maya nowadays. So, and it's a lot easier to to create animations in there, to create your textures,
right,
and then be able to export them out into your game engines, whether it be the UDK, the Unreal Engine, or the Unity. It's kind of pretty much the same. In fact, I don't know if the audience can see that, but as of Maya from 2016 and on out, they actually have special menu items now to send it to the Unreal Engine or to send it to the Unity engine. I don't know if they see that in there, but there it is. And what these do is these actually will bake out the animation for you and then save it out in the correct format. But I wanted to show you a little bit more of the manual way rather than using our little hotkeys. And so there we are. This is done. So we'll get out of this, and then we're going to go back into the Unity system here. And I am going to go into Assets. Excuse me. The very first thing you want to do before you import your object, I don't know if you can see it, but the first thing I did was I drag and drop the texture map for the Raptor. It's very small. You can see it right here. And this is your texture map. This is one of the big gotchas. Even in the latest version of Unity, this is going to nail you. If you import your object first, it's going to look for these textures and it's not going to find them inside Unity. And what it's going to do is it's going to assign a gray shader value to it. And so your dinosaur or whatever you're bringing in is just going to be a big gray whatever, and it's not going to have the texture in it because it couldn't find it. So first step, import or drag and drop your textures. You can actually just open a window and drag and drop it right onto your assets. And so that's already there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go find my Raptor object. And here's my Raptor that I've converted over. And literally all I need to do is drag and drop him right into my asset file here. And he'll sit there and import for a few seconds, and there, now he's done. And you can see he shows up right here. Yeah. There he is, and he'll show up in my little preview window. And if I hit play, he should animate, but he's only going to play through the cycle one time. What we want to do is we want to make him to continuously play through this cycle. And so there's a real quick thing to do is when you select him, you can look over here on your inspector window, and you can go down here, and there's something called the loop time. Okay. And all we have to do is click that on. So click on the loop time, and then we go down to the bottom of the interface where it says apply, and we'll click on that button, and that's going to create a loop cycle. So now we have a loop cycle of that guy. Very cool. And if I play it, you'll see he's going through his little thing here.
Oh, yeah.
And he'll just keep going through it over and over because we've looped him.
Okay.
So there is another one of the little gotchas. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring him into this system. And so once again, all we need to do is grab them and drag and drop them over the little thing. If you look on the hierarchy, there's something called scene pivot, and this is part of the critical part of the augmented reality portion of this of the XZIMG. I don't know. I'm sorry. I apologize for not being able to pronounce it correct, but it's everything needs to be parented under scene pivot and scene object. So I'll go ahead and put it under scene object. And then the next really big gotcha, and this took me hours to actually figure out, and it's so simple, but it did take me a while, is that I can't have it named Raptor Anim. Baked inside the software part of this program, it's actually looking for something called scene object. So I need to just change its name to that. So I'll just right click on it and change its name to scene object. Oops. Scene object. And I'll delete this one that the cube is. And now we will have this raptor. Now the raptor's going to be really big. And
oh my gosh!
Right? So he's going to be about the size of our room, and that's going to be way too big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale him down with the little scale thing, and then like zoom in on him a little bit more.
So I noticed that it says scene object and then it says scene object 2 under it.
Right.
Is that if you have multiple objects to import, you can just, as long as it says scene object, you can add the numbers? It will show up,
yeah. Yeah, and
okay.
So, and actually you can just name them. It looks to me like it doesn't even correct it. Like if I could like have 3 or 4 objects in here, just name scene object, and I don't know that it's going to care. It doesn't seem to.
Interesting.
But just to be sure that it doesn't hurt to put numbers behind them.
And that way you can keep track of it.
So if I click on my camera, we'll see that my camera is like looking this way, and there's the second one of the other things in here that gets kind of weird is that.
Am I looking at his toenails right now? I feel like that's the camera preview.
That's the camera. He is looking at his toenails.
Okay.
So we need to actually rotate this raptor into the right position so that he shows up in the camera right. If we were to try to build this scene right now, he would be sticking out of this. He would be sideways, basically. So he's not like... just because he looks great in our scene doesn't mean he's going to look great in our augmented reality. So all I need to do is I'm going to go into my Y rotations and give them a 90 Y rotation.
And so you use the main camera kind of preview to see what it's going to look like in AR.
Right.
As opposed to just looking at what it looks like in the
scene, yeah. And so now he looks like he's lying down on his side.
Well, he's tired.
But this is actually the correct aspect or position for him to be in. And I'm going to make him a little bit smaller.
How do you know? Or was it just trial and error?
Trial and error. I know that that 2 of these these little 4 cubes here in the middle, they would be the size of the cube that we see, or about the size of the target, right? So I know if I make it bigger than that, he'll be bigger than that. But if I make him smaller than that, he'll be like smaller than the target. So it's a little bit of trial and error.
But I mean, as far as getting knowing that the camera, how did you find out, I've got to lay my Velociraptor on his side for it? Yeah,
that happened that was just total experimentation. Because I thought, I'll just load my Raptor in here, right? And then I'll just put him up there. And then when I turned on I loaded it as an augmented reality, he was on his side, sticking through space like he was walking on the wall.
Oh,
and I thought, okay, so I have to rotate him. So I eventually found out that just rotating him 90 degrees and Y and Z, I could get him to what looks like he's lying down on his side here, but it actually is correct once we launch the application.
So what would happen if instead of shrinking him, you just let him be a life-size dinosaur in the room?
He'd be really big.
Like one leg would be here?
Yeah. Actually, we can give it a little shot here. We'll try it.
We get to have a life-size Velociraptor.
Let's make a really big raptor, and we'll see if we can even get him inside the camera. So here he is. That's pretty good size. One thing left to do is that just because we dragged and dropped him onto our scene doesn't mean he has his animation on him. He's just a big statue here still.
Okay.
So if we open up the little arrow in our asset thing, we can see that there's this thing called Take One, and that's his animation.
Oh yeah.
So I'll just drag and drop that right on top of him. And that's it. Now he's got his animation attached to him.
That was easy.
Yeah, but it's easy, but if you, like the first time we did it, I was like, how come he's not animating? So several hours later, I realized, oh, I have to drag and drop the animation on there too. So learn from my mistakes. And there, okay, so there we go. I'm going to go ahead and try and build and run this guy. Let's get rid of this cube, and let's add this one. Oh, we can still call him cube. And I'll build and run it, and we'll save it to something. And he might be a little bit dark because we didn't put any lights in there, which is another thing we'll talk about in a minute.
Would it be helpful if I like put my flashlight on the target?
It might help, but I'm actually thinking of lights inside the actual scene.
No, I know, but I was thinking to keep it from tumbling.
Yeah, let's. It might not hurt. And we'll allow. And now we got this.
Oh, he's not life-size.
Big giant raptor. Okay, we can make him bigger, but.
I mean, it's not that I'm not impressed, Craig. I just was thinking we were going to see a big. He's looking at me. Oh, I see. So it's really hard for you to be able to get him completely in frame.
Yep, but here's another trick. The bigger the target you use, the bigger the raptor.
What?
So I'll use a bigger target, and now we'll even have a bigger raptor.
Oh, wow. So why is that?
Because it actually uses the target to figure out the volume of the raptor. So now he's much bigger and standing on that
oh yeah, and then it's like, this is I guess why you would eventually need glasses and things like that so that way you can look anywhere instead of it being attached to a target.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I like it. Let me hold your hand, friend.
So there we go.
Oh, I did the thing. I can't. Tickle his little foot.
Right. So let's get them back down to a little more manageable scale here. Oh, actually, before going back, let me go through one more thing. Is you'll see that in the menu here we have a directional light, right? But everything in here, this directional light, it needs to be actually under the scene pivot menu as well.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, it's not going to show up.
Okay.
So there's my light. I have it in the scene now, and we can actually see him. And I'll move him upwards a little bit, and maybe a little bit to the right. And so now he is going to light this dinosaur. And the one I'm going to show you actually has 3 lights. It has one there, and well, I'll duplicate this, and I'll bring it over here.
Huh.
And I'll rotate this light a little bit so that his face. You can see where he's
actually. Oh, wow, yeah.
So now he's actually going to be a little bit brighter in our shot. And I'll duplicate this light again, and I'll bring it over to his other side.
This is crazy that you can just be like it completely in space. You can just move it anywhere you want.
And there we go.
Wow. So
now when the next time when we build this guy, he'll actually have lights on him. Actually, yeah. And since they're all under the scene pivot menu here, they'll actually show up. And if I didn't have them here, they wouldn't be included in the scene. So we'll go ahead and build this guy one more time.
So how powerful of a computer do you need to run this kind of program?
Actually, believe it or not that powerful. This computer I'm using right now is a 2013 Asus computer. It's only got like a what they call like a 765 GeForce card on it, which is, by today's standard, they're already up to like 1060 something or 1024 cards, which is kind of like at least twice as powerful as this.
Wow.
I only have 12 gigabytes of memory on this computer total, and I think 8 gigabytes of GPU. So by today's standards, that's like a little kid's toy.
Yeah.
And it plays fairly well on this. I can imagine what it would do like on a brand new computer. Basically, any computer that you have that you can run like the high-end games on. If you get yourself a high-end gaming computer, all of this stuff will run very well on that. So it's kind of there's kind of like a direct correlation.
Yeah.
Super gaming computers also make super graphics computers. It's pretty simple. When I go out and look for a good computer to do just to create computer graphics on it. I'm not actually looking for one for that's for that. I'm looking for a really good game computer, because I know that it's a direct correlation. If I can find a computer that's going to play games really, really well, then I know it's going to be able to create games very well as well. So, there you have it. So this guy is pretty big still, but now at least he's lit.
Oh yeah.
And so he's still a little bit too big.
Is there any way to change the lighting on the object when the AR is running?
We can animate the lights.
Oh.
Yeah. So everything you see in there, we can actually still animate.
Can you make the lights reflective? Because I feel like ARs are not reflective, reactive. I feel like AR is also very reactive.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that, because if we move the lights, it's going to change the way it lights the raptor and stuff. So that we get that kind of for free. Right,
but I'm saying if I held my hand over him or something, make it reactive to what's going on to the not necessarily right now.
We would have to because this system is so simple. You would have to fake it. You could say, maybe I put a fake hand in there that's invisible and have it go over, and then because you and I know that, it's kind of like a magic trick at that point.
Oh yeah.
So we go put our hand over it at the same time that the CG hand is. And they go, look, it's interactive, but we know it would be fake. Yeah,
we know we're just a bunch of liars.
Well, that's what magicians are, right? Professional liars
and actors.
And there you go. Here's coming up is Gina's pet raptor, and that's our little guy right there.
Look how freaking cute! It's adorable. I'm actually super excited because you can give him little scratches. And Craig said that I could take him home with me.
Yep.
He's gonna figure out. He's gonna tell me what to download, and then I can have my own little
genetically
raptor.
Engineered this raptor just for Gina.
He's so cute. I need to name him. I mean, I guess I should just name him Craig. Well, there he goes. It's backwards. It's backwards. See, my buddy. I love it. It's so great. So now, is that something that can work on my cell phone? Like you said that this guy...
Yeah, well, that's the really nice thing about the Unity game engine is that, once again, let's take a look at the Unity game engine here for a second. I'll show you. Under the build menu, the build settings, you'll notice right here, right now I have it set to build PC, but I can just as easily send it out to an Android phone just by clicking on that button and rebuilding it. That's one of the coolest things about Unity, is that you only build it once in Unity, and then you only make it one time in Unity, and then you can actually build it and send it out to all these different devices.
Can you make it for Android so I can have my pet raptor on my phone all the time?
I can. So here's Android, and then you can actually download this to your Android phone, and then bring a little target with you, and then just aim your phone at it.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to get dinosaur business cards made, like Gina Theresa, professional dinosaur wrangler.
So there you go. And so, or iOS, you could build it into a web player so that you can actually you could have it work on the internet, and a couple other ones you can make it for the Wii or the PS3.
Oh, cool.
As well. So that's how easy it is. We just click and play. Windows Phone 8. I don't know what Windows is. What phone is yours? Android?
It's an Android, for sure.
So we will make an Android one for you in a little bit.
DCT asks, when the iPhone was rumored to have dual cameras, people were speculating for AR usage. Any truth to that at all?
Well, what I've heard is that there might be some truth to that, but what is coming out in the next 2 years on Android is an actual camera that's used for Z-depth. So it's actually a camera that senses the depth of things from you. And this camera was originally developed for doing real-time facial motion capture. Apple bought them and took the camera off the market. It was called InterSense, and it's looking like they're going to come out either later this year or next year with this particular type of new camera built into it, and then that's going to allow you to do basically real-time facial motion capture and stuff like that inside the Apple telephone system.
That's fascinating.
So, yeah.
Does the dual camera aspect help with AR?
it's not going to hurt it, but I'm not sure how it's actually going to help it, because you only really need one camera for AR to track the target. Now 2 cameras, it might help you in case of doing more like stereo type stuff. But as far as augmented reality goes, it's not really stereo.
Yeah, because I feel like the point of AR is that it's comprehensive. So we're gonna make me an android dinosaur later.
So yeah, let's make one right now.
Oh, okay. We're gonna make me an android dinosaur right this second.
So we hear our android, and we'll change this guy. We'll get rid of that one. We'll add this one to it, and we'll build it and run it. We'll give it a name. Android. Did I spell that right? Close enough. Android Raptor. And then we'll save it.
Guys, I'm so excited to have a tiny raptor in my pocket at all times.
And now thinking about it, and shouldn't have a problem building it. One thing that you do need when you're creating Android applications on your PC is that you do need the Android developers kit installed on your PC, and I do have that installed in this PC, and it's just a bunch of libraries and stuff that say, oh, you're doing it for Android, and so it's just like the Android specific libraries and drivers, and so so you will have to have that installed on your computer to make this.
But it's free. You just find it in the same store.
You just download it for free. Yeah, you just go to the Android store and download it. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. While we were waiting on that, how do you think AR can become more commercial?
Well, I think when computers, as things evolved, it's going to lend itself more and more to things like Pokemon Go and stuff like that. So I think it's really only limited to people's imaginations on clever ways to use this, and I think that's how it's going to evolve. I think like for instance, like Pokemon Go is a really great example of how they put something really clever together for AR involving the gaming industry in particular. So yeah, it's the limits of our imagination, as everybody knows. That's fairly limitless, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, and we were talking earlier, if you guys are just kind of tuning in, we were talking earlier how there's already been applications in like the fashion and makeup industry, the beauty industries, the medical industries. So it seems like it's pretty much going to be viable across the board, especially it's because of the tech that we have is making it more and more accessible.
Yeah.
So people like you are like, hey, I just want to play with it and see what happens, you know, and that's how innovation happens, is you just kind of let go of constraints and you just play with something.
And I've seen it being used a lot in like construction industries and like the aircraft industries and stuff like that. For instance, there was a company that was using it to install engines on Cessna aircraft and stuff like that, and so they are actually able, if they line their actual engine up, they can actually tell how well it was lined up according to their little VR application, and that way they were saving themselves a lot of time and money by not having to like go in there with micrometers and stuff like that and align it.
Oh wow!
And, but the camera system they were using for that was like $150,000 augmented reality camera. It's like super accurate. So it's not quite available to us yet.
Yeah, not
that we would need it anyway.
Yeah, I'm not building Cessnas anytime soon.
Yeah.
Does that mean Jarvis and the stuff Tony Stark does with his computer through motion controls is augmented reality? I guess so.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, I would think that's being presented to Tony Stark as an augmented reality point of view, because it's basically just overlaying stuff for him so he can see through it. So yeah, I would definitely say.
Now, is there any kind of like a delineation between calling something just AR and then having something that's actually super interactive, like with Tony Stark's stuff? It's like he can call up he can call up suits, or he can order something to go and like fix a car, or one of his robots to go and mess with another robot and all that.
No, I think that's still augmented reality. It's just the way that it's being used, and saying using Jarvis to say grab me suit number 35, and Jarvis says okay.
So how close do you think we are to that kind of thing being feasible?
Oh, I think it's there already. Because what I'm showing you guys today is really, really the most simple, basic form of augmented reality that really is out there that we can come up with and that you can get your hands on and use as like a demonstration. But from here, you can move on to a lot more much more evolved systems that do a lot more stuff that is actually semi-interactive. A lot of stuff like I said, they're moving away from these markers and these targets. They're actually like have augmented reality systems out there that recognize people's faces. The company Vuforia is actually tagging like newspaper and periodical ads and stuff like that. So let's say you're wearing a pair of augmented glasses that are using the Vuforia system. Mm-hmm. Let's say you go and like maybe like some like shoe companies using it, and you look at their magazine ad, and all of a sudden it'll recognize like the logo for that shoe company or whatever it is, and suddenly it'll like present you with an augmented reality experience of that particular shoe or those brands.
Oh, wow.
that you can like rotate around. Also, there's a system called Magic Leap, which is like a it's designed for it uses your hands, so you can use your hands to like rotate
objects. I was about to ask you for that.
Yeah, and that also works with this system. So you can you can like grab that cube and like spin it around with your hands using the Magic Leap system. So you can combine it and hybrid it with that.
Westward says, when do you think it would become a problem with advertising through AR?
I think maybe the only real problem would be like if it's popping up at times when you don't need it or when you don't want it. Like worst case scenario, you're like driving your car with your augmented reality.
You glance up at a Nike billboard.
And you glance up at a billboard, and all of a sudden it projects like something into your face, and now you can't see where you're driving. Oh. I mean, I can see that as being our worst case scenario.
Yeah.
But you watch movies like for instance, you watch movies like Ghost in the Shell, where people walk down the street and AR applications are just like popping out in front of them, like buy our shoes and buy our noodles and stuff. And it's definitely headed in that direction already. So there's going to be a time where like there's so much data mining going on right now that they'll be able to like look at your phone as you're passing by and connect to your phone via Wi-Fi or something and go, oh, there's Gina. We know she likes some crazy people, and she likes eating spaghetti. And so next thing you know, it's going to have crazy people trying to sell you spaghetti.
Oh, wow.
Just as you walk down the sidewalk, it's going to project that to you.
Let's go back and just kind of retouch on what you were talking about with like the skeleton pulling the animation across. You kind of talked about that was one of the gotchas for you, was realizing that you also had to
bake it out.
And pull the animation across.
Yeah. Okay, let me bring up Maya again here. And I'm actually going to create a new scene because this guy's already baked out. I'll reload this raptor. So Unity can't deal with that. It needs to know where these controls are on every single frame. And so that's why we do this thing called baking it out. So you notice that right now that there's only these sparse keyframes across it because that's all we need to do. But once I bake them out, the difference is, we'll bake him now. So now he's playing through the animation, he's baking every keyframe. So now, once it's done, we'll see that
holy crap,
every single control has keyframes on every single frame now, which would be a nightmare to animate inside Maya, but that's actually what Unity is looking for. So it needs that kind of information. And you might see like this one, you may see you can't see it because it actually took and applied the baked keyframes to the actual bone that it's controlling, which is right there. So that's the actual head bone. This is just its control. Yeah. So you notice there, but you notice that bone
has
all of these
joints. Keyframes.
Right. Every joint has all of their key. Every single key everything is baked down in every single one of these joints.
Because I have like a one-track mind, I guess. Is this the same concept of what they use for motion capture? Because in motion capture, they're not mapping me; they're literally only mapping my skeleton.
Right, and in many cases in motion capture, they're putting a keyframe on every single frame as well. like I know like optical systems, they place a keyframe on every single frame of an animation. So if you're at frame 24 or 100 or whatever, each one of your little targets is going to have a keyframe no matter what frame you're on. So you end up with this huge graph of curves that every single frame is keyframed.
Jeez, that's why it's so expensive.
So yeah, and it becomes and it requires like special programs because like for instance, now that like this tail, for instance, it has keyframes on everything, right?
Yeah.
So if I were to go in here and like animate it by hand, like move it upwards, oops, like let's see if I can grab that. So if I were to move this guy like that and then put a new keyframe on it, it would move it right there, but everything else would go back to the normal one, so it wouldn't figure it out. So I would get this pop.
Oh yeah.
So I'd have to like do it smoothly. And so that's why they make software programs called like Motion Builder, which are specifically designed to handle these large, vast amounts of keyframes that you get from motion capture and treat them in a more of a generalized fashion. So where if I make that one, I can say go from like frame 100 to frame 120 instead of like frame 111 to frame 112.
Oh, I see.
So.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Awesome.
Awesome.
That made sense?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I guess we kind of that's it for the show. We went back through.
Really?
We kind of I know it was so fast.
Wow.
Why are you so efficient?